Hello and welcome to another edition of the SportsHeads of Verge magazine. I am obviously the host, as per usual. You've missed me, haven't you guys? Andre Dixon. I'm here with my pals, my buddies, amigos, band of merry men. Don't think I didn't hear that on the podcast the other day. Sam Morgan and Daniel Fleury. How are you guys?
We're good.
I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me.
Am I missed or what?
I don't miss that shirt of yours, but other than that,
yeah. I don't miss anything about you, mate. So, yeah. Hurry up.
They lie. And we have a special guest, Liz Bhandari. How are you?
I'm really good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I don't know what you're in for. I don't know if you know what you're in for here. You know, this is
yeah, might regret this.
These guys are a bit tough when it comes to the questions. Obviously, what we do is we, for those who are just joining us as new followers or new listeners, we cover all of the news of American sports as much as we possibly can in half an hour. I say all of it. I'll say the main stories, what sticks out to us, what's important to us. In half an hour, I'll give the guys like 3 minutes each to be able to have a chat. Let's see if they can do it under that this time. Let's see, and then we move on from there. So let's start with obviously, big breaking news for over the last week or so with the NBA. So do you guys feel that the moving forward, the NBA boycott would have effects on other sports moving forward? Meaning, obviously for NFL fans, do you feel that there's going to be a potential strike, boycott of a game or anything like that? Obviously, there's been stuff with the with the NHL, MLB, who've missed games, so forth, to support the cause. But do you feel that will be happening to our beloved NFL sport moving forward? So I'll start with you, Sam.
I think it depends on the organisation. I think you see people like the Ravens have obviously gone away and put across some strong messages. Pete Carroll's come out and said quite a few bits as well. Do I see teams just down in tools and not playing? Not as freely as the NBA, teams in the NBA. We've seen what happened with the players obviously here just taking a knee. So people have lost careers out of it in Kaepernick, and some players have lost contracts. So that was just taking a knee in the game that they're about to play. I know the commissioner's come out and sort of said, hey, I wish we'd taken it on board a little bit more, listened. But I still think that that's a long way off the team just stopping play, especially with all the protocols they've gone through to actually get a game potentially played. We still don't know the season's 100% going to go ahead. We really do hope it does. But I don't know if they'd run the risk of suddenly just stopping a game at this moment in time. However, players maybe walking off the field or certain individuals not playing, that I could see. If there's anything like that, that I appreciate might happen. But I don't see a full walkout.
So I'm expecting. I'll be looking at Cowboys games more than anything else, because obviously, a little while ago, you had the Jerry Jones saying, toes on the line, hand on hearts, helmet and show. Make sure that you're saluting the flag. So Dan, what do you think is going to happen? Regarding NFL and obviously, the rest of the other sports.
Look, I think it's going to be a situation with the NFL. Practically, logistically speaking, it probably won't happen in terms of a full lockdown of the game, because you've got to think about it. You've got a 53-man roster. Of that, you've still got practice squad guys. So realistically, you've got people that are trying to get onto the team. And will they risk getting onto the team? Will they risk a potential paycheck for walking out? Do I think everyone will do that? No. And you also have to remember as well, unfortunately, let's just say how it is. Basketball is, predominantly black, while the NFL is as well. You still have predominantly key positions that are not, that are not really dominated, or that aren't really, some of the key positions like the quarterback positions don't all have a black quarterback. So for a situation, unfortunately, human nature is human nature. You are more invested in things that affect you, or, situations that you're more invested in. Hence why the NBA is probably talking more about Black Lives Matter and not about China and that situation over there. So I think with the NFL, realistically speaking, there's too many people Not everyone's going to be fully invested into it. And also, some people just want to get the season over and done with and actually would rather focus on football than everything outside, which is going on. So I can't really fault anyone left, right or centre. It is what it is. You know, you got to follow your heart and sort of trust someone to do that. So for me personally, I think it's going to be a situation of no. I think you might get some people sitting out 1 or 2 plays, but to miss the whole game, I just can't see that happening.
Liz, get in there.
So I think it'll be interesting because, so obviously, you know, a couple of years ago, Colin Kaepernick took the knee and no one was happy with that. A lot of people kicked off. He obviously lost his job. And then you look at the situation now. So I think that was 4 years ago. You look at the situation now. So in the NBA, they've, you know, stopped some games. Happened in the same with MLB, MLS. So I kind of think I could see it possibly happen in the NFL as well. I mean, we've cancelled practices in order to not protest, but to get the message out there. So would I put it past the NFL players doing it? No, I think they would, but I get the point about the whole, you know, got to cut down the rosters. Does that mean I'm going to lose my job? It's really hard to kind of tell what could happen, but I think the way that the other sports have gone, I'd be really surprised if the NFL didn't do something about it. At the end of the day, you've got star power, you've got to make the most of that kind of thing. So if we don't, you know, if the players don't do that, how will anything ever change? The difference is now, 4 years ago, there was no real support. Now you've got support from the coaches, from the team owners. This is something we've not had before. So I'm hoping that we'll start to see a good change come through, but it's really hard to tell.
It's such an important time, you know, especially now with it's coming into American elections, you know, for the players to be able to really make a stance and show, you know, support for the cause and for people that are, you know, like you know, underprivileged, haven't got a voice, you know, and obviously with the president there, you know, stoking those flames. You know, I'm very sure that as I said, I'm waiting to see what happens in Dallas. Because Jerry Jones has really changed his tune since the last time when he was ordering players to make sure that they stand for the flag. So it'll be interesting to see. So we'll see. I know my Giants will represent no matter what. That's what I do know. Right. So let's get on to another football story. The debacle that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. For some reason or another, they have released Leonard Fournette. Within, you know, under two weeks of the season to go, which is quite strange. You know, this is one of their major players, so I'm not understanding what the whole thinking behind of it is. So do you feel? I'll come to you, Liz, first of all, that the Jags are trying to tank for the next season?
I don't know. It's really hard. Like, I feel bad for them as a team, and I feel bad for the fans because obviously they've lost a lot of talent over the last 12 months. And I think, I don't know, the term tanking, like, we use it so much, but surely no team actually sets out to tank. But you know, Coach Doug Marrone, he knows his job's on the line, and that's like a really big risk, obviously, to take. And in the press conference on Monday, he was saying how we've got really young talent, we've got the veterans to help show them the way. I think if the team has got faith, so the front office staff and the team itself, they've got faith that the team can do this, then we should as well. We should trust in that. But, you know, as anything goes, until we kick off, you never know what really will happen.
Yeah, it's a strange time and it's a very strange decision. But, you know, maybe they just had enough of him. Sam, what are you thinking?
I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that's the same mentality over there in Jacksonville at the moment. I don't think they know what they're doing. So like you said, they've lost a lot of talent, and just watching players like drop and move on. And these aren't players that are just going to, let's just say, just make up the numbers. These players that have left are going to go and improve sides. So for you to lose these weapons, it makes no sense. Is it just going to be like a bit of a banter team over there with Minshew, and they're going to come up with loads of gifts each week? Because that's what it's going to be, and that's the only success they're potentially going to have. And I thought they were building some really good foundations with the players and the roster they were putting together, leading us to think potentially, this could be the team that comes to London, and they're going to have a great team here that everyone can really get behind. Worries me now, because what is going on there? And I think there's probably underlying issues as to why if it was just, actually, let me say this. If it was one individual, you'd be like, there's probably an underlying health issue, something with those players, like injuries. But when it seems to be multiple players that are leading an organisation like this, you start to question what is actually going on at the top and whether there's other things that are obviously causing issues. And I think there'll be more to this, and we should keep an eye on this a little bit more. And I pray for all you Jaguar fans. I really do.
Well, this is the reason never to buy, as much as you can. You can buy T-shirts or something like that, but don't buy the expensive jerseys, no matter how long the contract is for these players, because, before you know it, they're gone. But I know that, Dan's probably hoping that there's a chance that Fournette would be able to come over to the Seahawks and become a two-headed monster with Carson, maybe. What's your thinking, Dan?
Okay, firstly with that, I wouldn't mind, but I think Leonard Fournette so far in the league has shown that he kind of shrinks a little bit when it comes to sort of getting pressure or when it comes to getting hit. So I'm not entirely sure. He was promised and projected to do really well, and since he's hit the league, he's had one or two issues, one or two nicks, so he doesn't really seem fully committed. Going back to Liz, I think the Jags are tanking for Trevor Lawrence, to be fair, because I'm not gonna lie, you look at who they've lost in the last two and a half seasons. AJ Bouye, one of the great corners. You've got Jalen Ramsey as well. You've got Ngakoue. You've now got Calais Campbell, and now you've got Leonard Fournette. You're cutting up your team, basically. I don't know what they're doing outside of tanking. They're definitely tanking. You lose most of your your stewards and your senior players on defense. You then now have and you're now losing one of your star running backs. You've never really had great wide receivers in the first place, and Gardner Minshew, can you trust him? I don't know if the Jags fully trust him, but you also let go of Nick Foles as well. So again, you are letting go of talent left, right, and center. For me, you're tanking. That's what it is.
So you're gonna put it on the line and just say,
mate, they're tanking. When you lose a quarterback who's won a Super Bowl, I'm not saying Nick Foles is the greatest, but he's won a Super Bowl MVP. You lose a star running back, you was one of the top 5 pick. You lose basically most of your defense. What you doing, mate? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's either they're tanking or players and the Tom Coughlin system isn't really working and it can only last for so long. So it was either one of the two, but for me, I'm taking the tanking system because you're going to try and get Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. It's well, I just think it's no coincidence. The season after Sam actually interviews Leonard Fournette, that he gets dropped straight away. Coincidence? I think not. So I think that Jags, I think you need to direct your queries and questions and comments towards UK Samo on Instagram and Twitter.
Feel free. I'm gonna make it my profile picture, me and him now, so they can rub some salt.
Well, another troubled player. Obviously, this is an ex-player, Hall of Fame, Bears player. Brian Urlacher has actually got himself into trouble, and not good trouble. He decided to make a statement the other day on his Instagram, effectively saying that, NBA, and quote, NBA players boycotting the playoffs because a dude reaching for a knife, wanted on a felony sexual assault warrant, was shot by police. Obviously the Bears and pretty much the whole NFL community is actually, distance themselves away from him, or more than distance themselves away from him, come at him. I'm baffled why some of these players or some of these people have to make these statements and not just keep quiet and just get on with their lives. But we are where we are. What Liz? What do you make of Brian Urlacher's comments?
I don't think I can swear on these podcasts, so but yeah, there's a big word that kind of comes up with it. Yeah. I don't understand how people have these backward views, and it just goes to show how backward some of society is. I think the sad part of this is that he is someone with influence, and there's going to be people who will cling on to every word that he's saying, and we'll be like, oh well, he says it, yeah, I'm with him, I think that's right. And I think generally when these kind of things come out and the public kick off, they'll step back on their word and be like, I was ignorant, I didn't realise. But I don't think he will come out and even attempt to go along with that. I mean, you look at some of the stuff he's liked on Instagram, and there was the Free Kyle Rittenhouse story. that he is liked, and that's just clearly his mindset. That's what he believes, if you will. And yeah, I think the Bears are right to distance themselves from that. Matt Forte came out and said a couple of things as well. So he had said that the comment was void of empathy, compassion, wisdom, and coherence, but full of pride and ignorance. I pray for those who have been blinded by their wealth, privilege, and earthly fame that breeds arrogance in the hearts. And I think he is exactly right. I think views like Ehrlich's, they make me both angry and they make me sad. And I think that we, as fans, as a society, we need to remember that this isn't the first controversial post by a player, and it sadly isn't going to be the last. I wish I knew what the answer was in terms of how we make people like that accountable for for their views or things like that. But I don't know. It's hard to know kind of the approach to take, really.
Sam, what's your view?
I'm a little bit disgusted by it, to be honest. But as Liz just rightly pointed out, he's not the first, he's not going to be the last. And there's people that aren't, obviously, sport personalities that are going to come up with these comments. I think it's just that you end up putting yourself in that same crowd, that same circle, and that's what he's seeing. He will follow and like everything that he wants to see. So he's going to continue to do that. So unless his players or players around him or anyone close to his circle can educate him, nothing's going to change. And it is quite poor that I think people are having these conversations, unfortunately. And I think that away from sport, something that really does need to give is the fact that I'm in disbelief by how many people in America don't believe in their justice system. Because if they believed in their justice system, no matter what anyone's done or was about to do, if the justice system was spot on, that person would get arrested, tried, and put in jail, not shot to death in the spare of a moment. Someone else has taken their time to just be the executioner at the very start. So, and this is what's obviously sad and something that is obviously a bigger problem than just sports personalities liking and saying things at this moment. And what's quite painful is that we've obviously had to have this conversation nearly every show with someone else coming up with some madness. The difference between this one and, for me, anyone else that's come out like Drew Brees saying things that maybe have been towing the line is that I think Drew Brees was poorly educated and his comments were poorly timed as such, as we've discussed. This one, this isn't. This is coming from the heart that he believes this from the start. So I'm just hoping people get round these people. I can't get that mad at an individual. We need to educate these shows. Other individuals need to get round these players. But wow, it's quite painful to see that this keeps coming up.
I mean, there's those who believe that obviously he has a freedom of speech. He has a right to be able to say his views. He's not doing any particular physical harm or anything like that towards people, obviously, as insensitive as it is. Is it wrong for him to be chastised for giving his views, Dan?
So in general, no, I don't think you shouldn't really, if someone has a view, someone has a view, but I think it's the view itself that needs to be a bit more scrutinized. Because when you're saying, first of all, obviously giving context to people, he compares NBA players, sitting down to that shooting of Jacob Black to Brett Favre's father dying and him playing the next day. And I feel, first of all, it's two different things. First of all, death affects people differently. So for him to now say, basically, man up, someone else's dad died and he played, but someone's death affects someone differently. You can't, I hate when people try to lump how people cope with one shoe fits all. It's not on. People are people. They are different for a reason. But also, too, is when you break down what he said, first of all, it wasn't confirmed, and it hasn't been confirmed that he was reaching for a knife. So that's speculation. So first of all, you're putting speculation, which is very dangerous because the facts isn't out. So I always implore people to wait, comment once all the facts are out. But two, okay, so he was reaching for a knife. So he had previous arrest warrants, which I'm pretty sure the police didn't know at the time. But does that mean he gets shot 7 times in the back? Because what I don't understand with Brian Urlacher is so what? So he had all of that, so what? We're not saying that he should have been let go by the police. We're not saying that the police should have been, carefree. We're not saying that the police shouldn't subdue him, but we're saying you can subdue him when you've got 4 people surrounded by him with 3 kids in the back. You didn't need to shoot him 7 times in the back. That's where, for me, when all these athletes and these people come out, it's like the disconnect is. So I don't mind You know, if he's got a criminal record, and I don't think anyone's defending people who've got criminal records, but it's just the escalation isn't the same. And then when you got that kid, the 17-year-old, who's carrying an AK-47, he's also, it's first of all illegal, and he's traveling state lines, and he just walks past the police. It's like, okay, but then are you not going to comment on that? Where is the logic in your argument? So by that point, because he's got a gun, he should get gunned down as well, which I don't agree with. So it's a question of with Brian is, what are you trying to get at? What are you saying? What is the aim of that? Are you complaining at the protest? Are you complaining at the way the police did it? Or what are you doing? Because for me, it's very disingenuous to just say, because he has a criminal record, it's okay. I'm okay to turn a blind eye at a police shooting at someone in the back 7 times. It's not on. It's not human decency at all.
At some point, you know, I'm really hoping that, you know, because obviously during this pandemic, obviously during us starting this our new venture in the hurry up, that we've had to speak a lot of politics, you know, and there's been a lot of terrible things that has happened, you know, in these last few months. And I'm just hoping we get to a point where we can just obviously talk about sports and, you know, focus on that. And then the world becomes a better place. Fingers crossed, the right things happen in November 3rd for, you know, for many reasons, you know. But no, it's I do believe in people having their freedom of speech, but please, like, be more informed before you actually make your comments on social media. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about our stories of the week, things that have stuck out to us that we haven't covered in the main topics. Sam, what are you thinking?
You know what? Rather a news topic in a sense, how excited is everyone for a bit of fantasy football? We've had a few discussions off air actually, and just reminding Andre that he still hasn't won a championship. But I'm hoping everyone's getting excited. I hope everyone is starting to put together little mock drafts or ideas of who they're sort of shortlisting, should we say, as well along the way. I would like to just also say, do your research. Look, get your stats right, and if anyone wants to help me, there's something in it for you at the end. To just beat Andre.
Are you trying to bribe our listeners and viewers? Unbelievable.
No bribing, just pure helpfulness. In today's world, it's nice to help others. So I thought that would be a good tip. And also, I just want to show off my mug a little bit more. Just so you know. I might become left-handed at times. And big shout out to Pick Six Apparel and stuff. These guys came up with this for me, and you'll be seeing a lot more Cardinals stuff from me all through this.
No, not when you start losing. I bet that cap disappears real quick.
Nah,
Dan, what's the stories that stick out to you?
Story of the week will probably be. Probably will be Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll, him coming out with sort of that speech. If anyone hasn't seen it, I implore people to watch it on YouTube. It was very interesting how he's coming out and just basically saying people need to educate themselves on the history of America. And I think, you know, more people like him, more people in general need to talk about it. You know, I studied in the States for a bit. So, you know, I'm saying this from speaking to people there. You know, there's places in Tennessee, for example, that don't teach about slavery. So, you know, I think, in order to, you know, going back to what we said, being well informed, you need to actually go out and study. And, you know, the history of America is still relatively young. Sometimes I feel we judge them a bit too harshly on their stage of where they are as a country. But at the same time, to people listening to this and to anyone else, just, you know, research and learn and discover. It's the same thing, you know, when people talk about racism, we talk about sexism. You know, as a guy, I can't keep saying, oh, you know, I don't see it. You know, sexism in the workplace, so therefore it doesn't exist. No, you have to actually go out and do something about it, because at the end of the day, you know, I might have a daughter, I've got a mother, I might have a wife, and the same thing, you know, you might have a friend who's going through racism. So at the same thing, all these kind of things need to be in a situation, or we as a society need to be in a situation where we are treating people equally, and we need to get to that. You know, obviously sooner than later, but you know, once we do that, I think we can band together and work better. You know, I think all these divisions actually just force us to really not focus on stuff like the fact that the trains in London are freaking increasing their prices yet again. How we should not have a boycott on that, I have no clue. So I feel like once we can get rid of all this division, we can focus on the real issues like that. But other than that,
he's starting trouble.
Yeah,
huh? Yeah, I'm starting trouble. I've been getting the same bloody trades for 10 years and the prices have increased and no new trades.
Hey. This is at BBC News. Come on.
Went off a bit tangent. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I went off a bit tangent, but as you could tell, that issue is irking me.
We're gonna rename this Dan's Rant Corner.
Yeah.
Where we can actually talk about all different things, including poll tax and so forth. Liz, what sticks out to you?
I mean, I can relate to Daniel's point about the trains going up. I actually was once on BBC News talking about the train prices going up in the north. So being there, done that.
What's going on here?
But no, I suppose actual news. Yeah, no. So I guess the biggest shock for me is obviously this week was Leonard Fournette. But obviously we've talked about that. So you know what? For me, I'm genuinely just so excited for the season to start. I'm in a couple of fantasy teams as well, Sam, and I don't fancy my chances. I'm just gonna fluke it and hope for the best.
That's what Trey does.
That sounds familiar. And person with a red hat here. There's
I won it, mate. I won it.
There's something similar about the red hat that he wears and the red hat of the person that was elected too. Both from frauds and both from cheat.
Hey, please don't do that because I don't want the comments. Liz, so tell people a little bit about yourself just really quickly, where they can reach out to you, find you, so forth.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a blogger, if you will. I like to talk about American football. Got my own website, nflgirluk.com, and I've got 2 podcasts. Cleats Off, which is a one-on-one interview with a player, coach, media from NFL. And then there's also another podcast I do called Gridiron and Wine, which is myself and 2 other lovely ladies talking all things American football. So yeah, feel free to check any of those out.
Well, this is not going to be the last time we see you, because obviously it's nice to be able to have someone who's, thoughtful and understands the game and understands what they're talking about, unlike these 2 that I have to deal with all the time.
Hey,
I'm very sure that this is not going to be the last time that we actually see you. Fingers crossed.
Always happy to come back.
See you again real soon. Actually, before during the start of this amazing season that we're looking forward to, guys. We appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. And what have you guys got planned this week, Sam? Quickly, what have you got planned?
I'm literally got a game. I've got FA Cup. So after this, I'm going to be running around having a go at people who aren't in their positions and trying to act like I'm a football manager.
Tell us the team you're manager of.
So I'm at Epsom Ewell. So it's a team in Surrey. We're okay. I'm not going to say too much because the boys will get big heads. So I'll leave it at that.
He was praising you guys. He said they don't even need to train.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Dan, what have you got going on?
We got the extra time with Chris and myself. Probably going to do a few more shows this week just to talk about everything else that we don't get to cover on this show. And that's it, really. I'm probably going to try and rewatch Tenet. First time I watched it, barely heard the sound, so try and give it again.
Definitely worth watching, definitely. Well, thank you guys for listening, and thank you for joining me once again, guys. Please check out the extra time on our podcast. Obviously, we'll put the details down below. Check us out for more episodes and news on the SportsHeads official, and also check out all other sports that we cover on Alt Sport on Instagram and Twitter. So, we're on the countdown now. I think we've got 8 days to go now before the start of the season. So let's start getting. I'm going to go and study up the fantasy teams because I am not losing this year again to Sam. So, thank you again for, joining us for another episode. And we definitely are excited, for the season next, that's coming up. And, we'd like to have a special mention to Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther himself, more than just a character, a complete movement. And, may you rest in peace. So, guys, we'll catch you next time. Peace.